"So, what have you been up to ever since you left town?" she asked, sounding genuinely curious as she spoke. I was afraid that I would never see you again. Taking a deep breath, I rubbed the back of my head nervously, trying to think of how I was going to tell her the truth. "Well, my parents needed me in the city," I began, as I struggled to put everything into the same timeline as it all happened. They needed somebody to take care of them until they passed away, and I couldn't afford to put them in a nursing home, so I went back to the city in order to take care of them. Now that they're gone, I came back to start a life over for me in the house that they ended up leaving me. Her jaw dropped as she stared at me in disbelief. "I'm so sorry," she said as she hurried over to hug me. "I can only imagine how hard that was on you." I smiled nervously as I nodded my head in response, accepting her warm embrace. If there was one person in town that I could trust with the truth about my full situation, it was Christine. She was always one of my closest and dearest friends, even sticking up for me when other people used to make fun of me because I didn't dress the way they thought I should, or was as smart as everybody thought I was. While it opened her up to a world of trouble, she didn't even need it. She had always been loyal to the very end, and I knew that I owed her for it. "There's another reason why I left," I told her as I looked up at her nervously. "You remember how I was having a lot of trouble with Darren before I left?" She looked skeptical as she nodded her head in response. "He didn't hurt you, did he?" she asked, sounding suspicious as she spoke. Of course, she knew all about the relationship issues I was having with Darren when I left 2 years ago, but she didn't know the full story. All she knew was the fact that I had gotten up and left after a huge fight. Now that I was back, I knew that she was going to find out the truth eventually, and knew that it was better for her to find it out from me rather than everybody else. "No," I replied as I gathered up my courage. "He didn't hurt me. We had gotten into a fight because I asked him how he would feel about starting a family, and he got mad at me because he didn't think we were ready for that sort of thing just yet." She looked confused as she tilted her head to the side of me. "What does that have to do with anything?" she asked, trying to piece the story together in her mind as I spoke. "If he didn't want a family, then what was the problem?" Taking a deep breath, I braced myself for how she was going to take the news I was about to give her. "I had just found out that day that I left that I was already 3 months pregnant," I informed her, and her jaw dropped open as she stared at me in shock and disbelief. "While I was in the city, I gave birth to my son, Jaden." She went silent for a moment, and I could already tell what she was thinking. The day that I left, I never told anyone about the situation I was in besides my parents, so nobody in town knew the truth about my condition when I broke up with Darren. Instead, all they knew was that we got into a huge fight, and I ran away to the city with the plan to never return to Heartbreak Hallow. I already knew that when everybody found out that I had a son, they were going to have a field day with all the rumors that they were going to end up spreading, and I wanted somebody to know the truth firsthand before any of the rumors could even begin to fly. Much to my surprise, after a brief silence, Christine smiled and shook her head at me. "I can't offer you a lot," she informed me patiently as she considered all our options. "I know your parents' house is fully paid off, so you shouldn't have to pay anything besides utilities, which is a good thing. About the best I can do is offer you the job here at Pete's Pizza Parlor full-time at $15 an hour. Do you think that'll be enough to support the two of you in the meantime?" Excitement coursed through my veins as I nodded my head in response, grateful that she was offering me the opportunity to care for Jaden. "That should be more than enough," I agreed as I reached over to hug her. "Thank you so much. You don't know how much this means to me."